Thank you so much, Ms. Radcliffe. Um, I was actually born in 1976, so I will forever remember how many years you've given education, and we certainly thank you for that. In addition, I'm just honored to be here with these esteemed panelists. I consider them more than just colleagues, they're dear friends, and during this whole experience, it has been amazing to have people that we can call on. In addition, I would be remiss if I did not thank our school board, and on behalf of our school board, thank the Houston Northwest Chamber of Commerce for this opportunity to share the things that are happening in Aldine, specifically as we prepare to return to learn. I was thinking back at, think about the last normal day for Aldine was March 6th. Can you look back and think about what you were doing on March 6th? It's the Friday before spring break, and all is well. We were celebrating our Teachers of the Year, and we knew that there was something out there called coronavirus, but we had already given instructions for our staff and faculty to wash hands and do some different things. And we put out a few little pieces to remind people about hand hygiene, but we didn't know what we know now. And so looking back, I'm very proud of the team that we have. I'm telling you, during a crisis, it's important that you have a great team, and we have an excellent team. And I'm so excited to share what our team has come up with as we think about how we're going to return to learn. It was in March, April, after our team had done a fantastic job of staying home at home learning, and we were really looking at how we were going to return to learn, what it was going to look like in the fall semester, and how it was going to look in the summer. And we had one guiding principle that basically was really the guiding principle for everything that we were doing. Number one, we were going to go as fast as we could, but as slow as we must. Because in Aldine, we want students to graduate with not only a high school diploma, but with choices and opportunities. And although this pandemic has come, we didn't want it to keep us from achieving the bold, audacious, strategic priorities that we had set forth. And so initially, we wanted to go fast. We thought that immediately when this is over, we want to make up for this COVID slide. We wanted to make sure that we were able to bring our kids in. And then, as you all know, especially for Aldine, the conditions changed. And so we had to pivot, and we're going to talk about that. In addition, one of the things we wanted to make sure of that no matter what, we were going to prioritize safety. These core beliefs were important because we were going to sit in our office and make decisions and then have those pressed down throughout our district. We wanted to make sure to get the voice of all of our stakeholders, our parents, our teachers, our operations staff, our leaders, our community members, everybody. And so we've had town halls, but even before that, we had design teams, and we've done sprints with external facilitators, and just wanted to make sure that we were able to get this right as we think about what we were doing. But there were guiding principles that led all of that out, and it was prioritizing safety. And also, we would not stop learning. And those are probably perhaps the two top ones. As we think about prioritizing safety, as you know, initially in May, when things were beginning to look better and we were being optimistic, we thought we were going to be able to have summer school and we face-to-face and do some things and provide some intervention to make up for those 9 weeks that were lost. However, it was interesting how things could change so fast. And there was so much data. I was actually on a call with Representative Wally, who's an Aldine grad, and he's our czar for recovery. And, Aldine is in a place where we have a part of our district is in the city, and of course, a part that's in the county. And there are different data points that each were emphasizing, and it was hard to kind of keep up with, because this is a global pandemic, even though sometimes we may forget about it. But, there's a national focus, there's a state focus, and then of course here there's a local regional focus. And so in Aldine, it was really important that we made data driven decisions, and we were looking at what pieces of data, and it's still unclear, but what we're clear about is the things that we're looking at. We want to make sure that if we're going to go as fast as we can, but as slow as we must, what conditions must exist for that to happen. And so in recent weeks, we always had the phases, but I loved how spring had a decision-making metrics, and we were able to pull that together so that we could be clear with our staff, clear with our families, clear with everybody about what it would look like in the event that we were in different phases. And so that was probably one of the most important things we've done in recent weeks, is thinking about when we say we want the conditions to appear here in order for us to do this, then everybody could be on the same page. And so we're really proud of our decision making meter that is helping us to make good decisions for our families. And so when I speak, although we're very close to both Klein and Spring, I speak on behalf of Aldine ISD, and the decisions that we've made from day one has been about our community. And so there's some with what are you going to do when this information comes or that information comes out or someone makes this decision. What we've tried to do is stay focused on what is in the best interest of our community. And right now we recognize that our community has been hit hard, and consequently our decisions have reflected the desire to make sure that the needs of our staff members, our teachers are being met, as well as the needs of our students. Now, one thing that we want to be clear about though, while we're prioritizing safety, we didn't want to sacrifice learning. And so it was really important as we were rolling out the models, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because all of us, you've probably heard about it, but we had two basic options: learn at home and learn at school. And on the both models, it's going to be more intense than what we experienced in the spring. The spring was a response to a crisis. Now it's a response to the needs of our students. And so we've been very intentional about how we're providing support for teachers and what all that looks like as we prepare for the fall. So regardless of whether our parents choose learning at home or learning on campus, they're going to not sacrifice any of the quality of what that looks like. Many of us, we started late July getting our commitment forms, and this is breaking news actually, because this is most up-to-date data that we have. And right now we have about 64% who have selected to learn at home, and we have about 27% have selected to learn it on campus, and about 9% that we haven't received a response from. And although this number is decreasing, this number is our focus because we want to make sure that every one of our students, every one of our families understand the two options and also are able to participate in the process. And so we're spending a great deal of time on that 9% because in the spring, we didn't want to lose contact with our families. And so we are starting Aldine Cares 2.0 for that 9%. And basically, no student goes without some type of contact. We recognize that during a normal school year, our families and even our students, and I have a 15-year-old, 16-year-old, she doesn't want me showing up. And so I may not have the right number on those forms or movement. We don't have the right cell phone numbers. And so through our Aldine Cares, we've been able to get up-to-date numbers and utilize, it's spearheaded by our counselors, but we've utilized coaches and everyone else who may have a relationship with those students who we can't contact so that we can make contact. And so that's our focus right now, that final 9%. Again, we say we're prioritizing safety. So what does that look like? In Aldine and our Aldine community, three things that aren't even debatable. There's no question about it because we are leading with safety. And so universal masking for all. Anyone who comes to any of our buildings, when our classes are able to have face-to-face, we have universal masking. If there's a situation in which we need to make a different decision, those decisions will be made on a one-on-one with the healthcare, with our nurses, and we can go from there. However, universal masking, hand hygiene, and physical distancing are non-negotiables as we think about what it's going to look like in the fall. And so we are definitely leading with safety because we want to keep our students safe, we want to keep our families safe, and we definitely want to keep our teachers safe as well. In addition, you know, when I was a principal, we gave packets of different things when our teachers came back. And while we're still giving those packets, one of the priorities is making sure every teacher has what they need as far as personal protective equipment. Thankful for the donations of TEA, but in addition, our district has, in our operations, people have ordered different materials for our teachers to have on hand. In addition, to kind of make it fun, our campus principals have ordered additional masks with the logos and different things. And so just trying to make sure that while we're focusing on safety, we're also making sure that we can do some learning. So when you come on Aldine's campuses, things look different. We have the signage and we have the plexiglass up. And again, it's evident that we are definitely enhancing our safety. One of the other areas of concern for us as we were thinking about how we were going to meet the needs of our students, when we have nearly 70% who are electing to learn at home, when you have a positivity rate that's upwards of 20%, when you have all these different things where learning at home, the home is the best place for our students. We recognized early when we had to pivot in the fall that the digital divide was real. Aldine, we talked about one-to-one, but it wasn't in any manner of, it was a dream. And so if anything that is the most positive about this whole experience is the light that's been shed on the fact that we had students who don't have connectivity. You know, as someone who was raised in poverty and at times lived in places without, indoor plumbing or without electricity, it just tears my heart up when I realize that there's a connectivity issue here in Houston. You know, being from the country, that's the norm, but here in Houston it's been an issue. But I'm proud of this one thing. Not only has it been a priority for our board, but working with the city, working with the county, working with TA, and how we're going to be able to make sure that every student has a device. That's our ultimate goal. And also addressing the connectivity issue and providing students with hotspots and just doing everything that we can to make sure that on August 17th, on our first day of school, learning can take place. We've already distributed over 18,000 devices. We had an order in April, so we're waiting on about 20,000. And then we just completed another order through Operation Connectivity. And so this gives me a great sense of pride, because without this, this horrible pandemic, it would have taken us years to get to where we're going to be. So very proud of where we are and what we're doing. Also proud of the fact that we continue to focus on the whole child. From March until now, we've served 1.6 million curbside meals, and we'll continue to serve in the fall. We already know we're going to have 58 meal sites, and our child nutrition frontline workers have done a phenomenal job, and I think no one would argue that they are worthy of all the praise they can get. We're definitely continuing to follow response in planning with our protocol as we think about what it's going to look like in the spring, when we're in the fall, when we are able to bring our students together, and what's going to happen when an outbreak. And I just want you to think of three things. We're going to make sure that it's containment, contact tracing, and communication. Those are the three things that we're going to focus on. And we're putting our processes and protocols in place in order to make sure that we're able to be responsive so that we can stop the community spread and not add to some of the things that we're seeing right now. You see, consistent communication has been a priority since day one. In a crisis, communication is important, because in the absence of communication, people will make up different things. And so we want to make sure, and we've been clear about that since day one. We have weekly messages that go out every single Monday, and they've gone out since March, that explain to our teachers, our students, our community, our board members. Everybody gets this message that brings everyone up to speed on what's happening in Aldine ISD. In addition, we rolled out Let's Talk. And so any questions as it related to anything that has to do with COVID or anything to do with Aldine in general, we have been intentional about putting this request out, and you can go and access it. And what we're proud of, our CCO, Shalia, we have a 24-hour turnaround, and we're very proud of that we respond to every single message, and we've received thousands. And so our team has been really clear about being open and communicating as needed. We have a whole list of return to learn resources, and they're all online, and you can go to aldineisd.org, return to learn, and get more information. We have frequently asked questions from every single town hall we've held, from all the Let's Talk questions, and it's robust, frequently asked questions. And so just trying to make sure that we're communicating appropriately and making sure our parents and our community has the information that they need. As we look at what the fall is going to look like, and as we think about where we are right now, I couldn't be more proud, considering I think the hosts, they were talking about being nimble. They were talking about making sure that we could pivot and do those different things prior to this panel starting. And it's amazing how those words have now become a part of our vocabulary, but they're absolutely certain. And our team is as uncertain as these times have been. Our team has just shown up and acted, as I stated earlier. We wanted to go fast at first, and we saw that the conditions didn't allow it, so we've had to slow down. And additionally, we wanted to prioritize safety and not sacrifice learning. And so as we think about our next plan for Aldine, we are beginning 100% remote. Our first day of instruction is August 17th, is on Monday. Our teachers have been working really hard, whether they're going to teach from their classrooms or from their homes, and making sure they have all their supplies and materials and doing everything to participate in PD to get ready for learning to start August 17th. And so August 17th will start 100% remote for 3 weeks. We recognize, as I stated earlier, different entities were coming out with different information and gave us some additional flexibility. We have a board meeting coming up, and we'll be looking at what that looks like, because right now our first day of face-to-face for the nearly 30% who've elected to have learning at school would be September 8th. And if I were to ask you all what do you think is going to happen on September 8th, you're going to think about the fact that we would have just celebrated a holiday on September 7th. And so one of the things that we're committed to is making sure that our teachers are safe, our students are safe, and again, going back to what I began with, the fact that we're going to go as fast as we can, but as slow as we must, but we're going to make sure that not only is safety prioritized, but we're going to make sure that learning is not sacrificed. So thank you for this opportunity. I look forward to your questions, and I am extremely proud of myself for getting under the allotted time. So.
All right. Well, thank you, Dr. Goffney. And I also just want to say how wonderful it has been to work in collaboration with not only Dr. Goffney, but also Dr. Watson and our colleagues in the greater Houston area as we've navigated this crisis together. It's wonderful to have folks who are so committed to doing what's best for students and such great thought partners in solving problems along the way. I also do want to say a huge thank you to one of our sponsors in particular, Dr. Nancy Radcliffe. As she mentioned, has not only been a wonderful part of our Klein family for many years, but she actually served on our school board for several years. And so her leadership in our community continues to be such a blessing to all of us here in Klein ISD, and appreciate you sponsoring this afternoon's gathering. And then of course, speaking of Board of Trustees, I also want to just continue to celebrate and shout out the unbelievable team that we have in Klein ISD. I believe that our board president, Mr. Doug James, is here this afternoon. I want to celebrate the fact that he was just recently named a master trustee by Leadership TASB. That represents a tremendous commitment, and we are so proud to have him as our board president. Kathy Arlano and Ronnie Anderson are two of our other trustees who are joining us this afternoon, and just the entire board continues to keep students at the center of everything that we do, and continues to be such a tremendous asset to the Klein ISD community. So thank you for your leadership. And then of course, our partnership with Northwest Chamber. We are always so grateful that we live in a wonderful community. I think the absolute best part of Houston, and we're thankful for the opportunity to come and to share today a little bit about what we've been working on and what we're looking forward to as we continue to keep our eyes on focused on an excellent education for every student in our care. So as Dr. Goffney said, it was in March when all of these things first started to change. And Bobby, thank you for doing the slides. If you could go to the next one, please. In Klein ISD, you may know that we have a shared vision that every student enters with a promise and exits with a purpose. And one of the things that I've been so proud of is to watch the way that that shared vision has come to life in so many new ways since the start of the pandemic. We're proud to serve 54,000 students in Klein ISD. We have 7,000 employees. And of course, in Klein ISD, in our 88 square miles, we have about 250,000 community members. And I just look back to all of the different things that we've accomplished together for our community and for our kids, and I'm filled with pride and gratitude and just continued admiration for the selflessness and the sacrifice that so many have made to continue to take good care of one another. So I want to show you just quickly a couple of examples of some of those points of pride. Next slide, please. One of the things that we saw immediately was people jumping in to make sure to take care of the whole student. So I want to celebrate our folks in food service for serving over 1 million meals to date to our community. I also want to celebrate our folks in technology who have been giving their all to make sure that every student has a device. If you go to the next slide, please, you can see that in Klein ISD, we've been so fortunate for having such leadership with foresight. We've had a one-to-one program in our district for many, many years, which provides all secondary students with a device. And so we were able to really focus and continue to focus our efforts on making sure that all of our elementary students have devices. And then of course, working to make sure that everybody has connectivity. I also want to celebrate the fact that our folks in our classrooms were absolute heroes. These are some of the photos on the next slide of what at-home learning looked like, the way that our teachers immediately pivoted from being in their classrooms to setting up virtual classrooms overnight. And I know that all of us have learned so much from that rapid response to a crisis. And I know all of us in our new online platforms, we call ours Klein Online, we're going to make sure that we learn from all of those experiences and continue to provide an even more optimal and more excellent experience for our students in this coming school year. One of the things I was reminding our teachers, if you go to the next slide, this morning, we actually had our Klein virtual kickoff for all 7,000 employees. And one of the things that I've been reminding our folks is that although the how and the what has changed, the why has not. And so as we look to the future of this school year and we think about how this is a school year unlike any we have ever planned for, we have the same joy and the same purpose in staying focused on making sure that we meet the needs of our students. And so reminding our staff that the classroom is still a transformative space, whether it is a space that's made up of brick and mortar or it's a place that's being created online, it's still the place where young people can begin to rise, where they can overcome circumstances that they have inherited. And with hard work and access and opportunity and community care, they can start one place and end another. And that's still the magic of the classroom that we're also privileged to be part of in public education. So as we begin to look forward to this coming school year, we of course wanted to make sure we had many voices and really tremendous feedback, not only from our employees, but also from our community, our students, as we examined all of the different guidance that we've received. So if you go to the next slide, we did convene in early May a reopening design team. This consisted of leaders from all departments, from the community, from chief of police, a wonderful group of people who really focused on looking at all of the research, all of the recommendations, and on that note, all of the evolving research and all of the evolving recommendations to try to make the absolute best plans to meet the need of our Klein community. I think Dr. Goffney had a great point. You know, we all have to, of course, work in a context that is beyond the boundaries of our school district, but of course we are primarily responsible for the things that happen within our own districts, and those conditions are different in different places. And it's one of the great joys and honors of working through this is making sure that we keep the needs of our individual districts and communities at the forefront and do our best to respond and to meet those particular needs. So like we heard about in Aldine, we also had core commitments at the front end of this work that we continue to use as our guideposts in changing circumstances. So if you look at the next slide, we've made a commitment that we will prioritize the health and wellness of staff and students. We are always committed to making sure we have excellent and equitable student learning experiences for our students. So again, whether they're learning in a brick and mortar building or they're learning online, we want to make sure that we have their needs met and we're helping them to make progress towards their academic goals and also the goals with their character and socio-emotional needs. And then of course, we want to make sure we have safe operations and systems for all of our facilities. So as we went along on the next slide, please, as I mentioned, we gathered tremendous feedback, connecting with folks and surveys, having listening sessions with over 1,000 people from our community, making sure that our employees had multiple opportunities to provide input and feedback, and also talking to our students, who I will say, to me, represent the hope of this entire challenging moment that we're all in together. When you listen to young people talk about their desire to get back to school, their desire to be in a place where they can not only learn and grow, but also connect with their peers and with adults who are investing in their lives and in their promise and purpose, it does give all of us such tremendous hope for the future. And again, remind us that the how and the what may have changed, but the why has not. So after all of this work and studying the guidance and doing tremendous research, we also came up with two particular options for our families. So in the next slide, you can see that we have both Klein on campus and Klein online, and we shared these plans with our community in mid-July. We've had our families selecting what option works best for them and giving them a choice about what makes the most sense, not only for their children academically, but also, again, back to health and wellness and safety and what their comfort level is with navigating this particular situation. As we've been preparing, we do continue to prioritize the health and wellness of staff and students. So if you look at the next slide, I just want to celebrate some of the things I'm so proud of in Klein ISD. First of all, we have at least one registered nurse on every single campus in our school district. We also have clinic assistants who are always making sure to take good care of our students and our staff, and are, of course, of paramount importance during this pandemic. We're also so grateful for that very high ratio of counselors to students that we have in our school district, one of the lowest in the area. And then of course, Klein ISD has been leading the way with our hospital grade sanitizing. Protexis is something that we shared publicly at the very beginning of the pandemic that we use to make sure that all of our facilities and our school buses are clean. And then of course, we've also been busy delivering all of that PPE and hand sanitizer and setting up our buildings so that the Klein on campus option is incredibly safe and really clear about making sure that that stays at the forefront for both our students and our staff. We're so excited on the next slide that yesterday we did welcome back all of our teachers, and it's just absolutely wonderful to see their enthusiasm for this school year amidst the challenges. We are really grateful that we will be able to use this time that we have together to make sure that we are helping to support and to prepare them for a year unlike any year. One thing I know for sure is that when our teachers are set up for success, our students are set up for success. And so I want to really celebrate our Board of Trustees who last night at our board meeting voted to modify our calendar so that we could provide additional time on the front end of the school year to make sure that all of our folks were fully prepared to provide an excellent experience in both Klein on campus and Klein online on day one, which for us will now be September 8th. And so during this additional time, we're looking forward to making sure we can run some simulations, do some dry runs to make sure that everything is in the absolute best position it can be in for, again, doing something that no school district has ever had to do before, and certainly not in our 80+ years in Klein ISD. For Klein on campus, for our families who are selecting that option on the next slide, of course, we're working to prepare for appropriate physical distancing to make sure that all of our cleaning and sanitizing processes are in place, and just to make sure that we do a great job educating our students and families about what the learning environment will look like in Klein on campus this year, because it will be unlike what it looked like last year, of course, with all the additional health and safety protocols. And then for Klein online on the next slide, we have been very busy working to distribute devices to families that have let us know that that is a need. But also, as Dr. Goffney mentioned, it's very important to make sure that our families can be connected. That's one of the expectations from the Texas Education Agency, is that if you are providing an online learning experience, especially if that's the way that students are going to be accessing their education all year long, that you have to be able to assure that you are providing a device and internet connectivity so that those children can access their right to a quality education. And so we are working diligently to make sure we've had a tremendous increase in demand for connectivity as we continue to move forward. And so we're working hard right now to be able to meet that need prior to the first day of school on September 8th. And then finally, I just want to celebrate that at the heart of our shared vision on the next slide is a commitment to equity, because in addition to working through a global pandemic, I know all of us are very aware that in our nation, we continue to witness racial injustice, and that is something that our students have been watching as they have been home processing this pandemic as well. And so I just want to celebrate again our board for what they did last month at their board meeting. They worked really hard on this for several months, and they signed a resolution to reaffirm their commitment to every student in Klein ISD. And it's really a beautiful thing to serve alongside folks in our community who are truly not just saying the word every, but they mean it. It's at the core of who they are as leaders and as public servants, and just so fortunate that our continued efforts together are going to be around making sure that that word every is true. And we are energized by that challenge, and we are committed to it for the long haul for all 54,000 students in Klein ISD. And then finally, on our last slide, as we just think about our shared vision, I think it would be nice to end with a non-COVID related celebration, since it seems like that is all we all talk about all day long wherever we go. We are so proud that in Klein ISD, for the second year in a row, Klein ISD has been recognized as one of the most innovative, pioneering companies in the greater Houston area by the Houston Business Journal. Klein ISD is the only business to be honored twice by the Houston Business Journal for this innovation award, and we're the only school district to ever make the list. So on behalf of all of the 7,000 employees in Klein ISD, the incredible community that we serve, and the brilliant 54,000 students in our care, that is an accomplishment we have achieved together. And I just wanted to celebrate that as we look forward to a wonderful, although challenging, school year for the 2021 school year. And now it's my honor to get to pass it to one of my friends and colleagues who I respect and am so proud to know, Dr. Rodney Watson.
Thank you, Dr. McGowan. It's great being before all of you all today. I echo my sentiments to my two colleagues here. We have had the unique pleasure of having numerous conversations with each other over the past several months. And so today, I'm excited to be able to share with you all our plan for reopening here in Spring ISD. one of the things that I think is going to be extremely important as we go through this is to really understand what our plan is, but then also the process by which we develop the plan. This morning, I would like to say a very special thank you to all of our sponsors, members of our community who continue day after day to support the local school districts, as well as our chamber members. With you all are the Chamber of Commerce for our area, and so we thank you for your support and dedication to our community, as well as the board of the chamber who serves to help meet the needs of our community. Last but not least, I can't go on without saying a very special thank you to my board members who are here. All of the trustees are actually on the call today, and so I thank you for your leadership. I thank you for your sacrifice that you constantly give to the Spring ISD community. So our plan is our safety first plan for the 2020-21 school year. And much like the other districts, when we went into this plan, there were several guiding beliefs that were really served as the foundation for our planning process. And the first couple go without saying. Student learning must be the cornerstone for all of the decisions that we make, because we understand and accept that we play a very vital role within our community of providing the learning and support training, either for a career pathway or training for those students that want to go on to college. And so after we finally wanted to make sure that the student learning and the needs of our kids were at the forefront of our decisions, we wanted to make sure that we could do so in a safe manner for our students and our staff. And so the safety of our students and staff is our priority. But we also noted that our school community is responsible for making the lives of those living in it better, because we play that role within our community, but also the community, the Chamber's collective, has a collective responsibility to invest in the health, success, and the vitality of its members. And so it goes without saying that we believe that our school district is only as strong as our community, and our community is only as strong as our school district. And so as we went in through the planning process, we really wanted to make sure that it wasn't a process that administration was leading, but we got feedback from parents, but we also wanted to incorporate members of our team. And so we started this process at the end of last spring, really with the development of planning teams that really focused on these 11 areas, with the goal of coming in and developing 5 specific micro plans that would then shape what our plan or our focus is for our students. The plan back in May started with our board taking the leadership and ordering an additional 11,000 Chromebooks for our students, because we wanted to make sure that as we look at equity, that we were providing equitable resources, equitable access for all of the students here in Spring ISD. And so they took the leadership and purchased 11,000 additional Chromebooks to ensure that happened. We also in May approved what we call our intersessional calendar. We had gone through the calendar process, and we felt the need to develop a new calendar based upon the level of COVID that was happening in our community, but also because we knew that there was learning gaps from the spring semester that was going into the summer, and from the summer semester starting back up in the fall. And so what we sought to do was to create a calendar that, should the COVID levels increase, we could close our campuses, or we could provide additional remediation or acceleration for our students based upon student needs. In June, we started our scenario-based process with over 100 district personnel participating, and we presented that plan in June to our community. Then, as Dr. McGowan indicated, we have gotten several iterations of guidance from the Texas Education Agency as well as our county. And so TA released some new guidance, which caused us to make some tweaks to our plan in June. And then there was some additional guidance that we received in July, which also made us make some additional tweaks to our plan. But we're happy to say that in August, we began distributing our technology supports on the 3rd, and we're currently distributing all of the Chromebooks and then our hotspots to our families as we speak. And then our teachers came back on the 10th for all of their virtual professional development sessions. And we're excited that we will be starting school on August 17th, next Monday. We will be starting school, and we will be starting school virtually for all students for the first 4 weeks. So the first 4 weeks of school here in Spring ISD will be virtual, and then we'll be letting our community know as the levels of COVID increase or decrease, as we'll be moving through our plan that I'll be sharing with you a little later. So one of the key things that I think is important for all of our community to understand is how we took their input. And so it wasn't just external community input, we also looked at internal stakeholder input as well. And so we wanted to really question our families based upon some of the things that they were experiencing from the spring semester as we began to set the stage for what we were going to do. Not only was it important for us to hear that from parents, but as I said earlier, it was important for us to compare that with staff so we could see where there were similarities as we planned for the fall semester as well. In addition to that, we just recently ended another survey that I gave our community, asking them about their preference in terms of options. And so as you can see here, we have about 34% of our families that have opted to participate in the Safety First in-person model. And we have about 66% of our families who have opted to participate in the Empowered Learning at Home, which is more of our remote model. But I think it's also important to understand that as we look at technology, there was about 44% of our families who indicated they needed a device or they had poor connection or owned their own device. And we use this data to really help us set the stage for the supports that our families would need. So as we began to think about student learning, we wanted to really do something different because, once again, as Dr. McGowan had indicated earlier, as we're talking about COVID, there are a lot of negative things that have coincided with it. However, we have also found ways to reimagine. There's probably not another time in history that we'll have an opportunity to reimagine the 18th century schoolhouse model that we all have been implementing over the past several years. And so we really wanted to take an opportunity to reimagine how school can look different even in the midst of COVID. And so for this next school year, the 2020-21 school year, we are offering our families two models, the Safety First in-person and the Empowered Learning at Home. It's important to understand, though, that both options will include the ability for students to participate in their co-curricular or extracurricular activities, those before and after school activities. They'll have access to the full suite of district, student, and family supports. They will also participate in synchronous and asynchronous learning, but then also that all students will have access to standards-based curriculum with project-based learning experiences. One of the things that we heard from our families as they were thinking about the empowered learning model was questions around how will the day look? And one of the things we really wanted our parents to know that although we were extremely proud of what our teachers and our administrators were able to do in a matter of weeks to stand up virtual learning, we wanted our families to know that it would look different, that what happened in the spring was just a catapult to all of the great things that were going to happen in the fall. So whether it's in-person or remote, students will have schedules to organize their day and allow for seamless transition between learning options, between the in-person and the empowered learning at home. So when we look at instruction, both in-person and remote learning environments, it will be teacher-directed, subject-specific instruction driven by school schedules. Now, we do use a platform called Schoology. Schoology is our learning management system that really connects that in-person and virtual learning together. So our courses are going to follow all of the district curricular-based standards as well as the project-based learning units that were used this past spring that really provide opportunities for teachers to assess learning beyond paper pencil, but through the use of projects, hands-on types of things where we can really see that our kids are able to apply the learning versus just the tested curriculum. In addition to that, it was extremely important for us to make sure that our students receiving special services would have all of the supports necessary to help meet their needs, whether that be a device, internet access, small group supports, language supports, or any other supports that's identified in their individual IEP plan. Our child nutrition staff, much like Aldine and Klein, they have worked hours over and over again over the summer, really wanting to make sure, standing on the front line, that all of our students had access to nutritious meals. So this year, our students will be provided healthy meals Monday through Friday. We're going to be standing that up on all of our campuses. In addition to that, meal service will be adapted regardless of the types of environments the parents choose, whether that's in-person or remote. All kids will have access, and we'll be using how we deliver that based upon the model that parents choose for their particular child. It was important for us, as I said earlier, for our board to ensure the equity across the technology. So we encourage that students who currently had devices that were assigned to them this past spring, that they would keep those devices. We let them keep them over the summer so they could use those for summer school, and they still have those that they'll use for the fall. But we also encourage our students that had devices to keep using them to ensure we had enough for everyone. But students who needed a device are currently picking those up now. Hotspots were being loaned out to families without internet service. And we've used a tier model to ensure that our most needy kids who needed them got those devices first. Not only did we want to focus on instruction, but we also wanted to focus on the family supports that were needed to really help our students access the curriculum, but also the supports necessary. So families, again, this semester will be supported through digital and non-digital modes. We have a help desk that's been enhanced in multiple languages. But we also had parents that have wanted low-tech support. Yes, their students have computers, but they also wanted low-tech options to be able to provide that support for their kids at home as well. As we look at our safety first in-person model, it's important to understand that we have what we call our operational decision meter. And this is our transparent way to really be able to show our community how we're making decisions here in Spring ISD. So currently we're on red. And so red signifies that a majority of students will participate in remote learning until COVID-19 contagion level improves. We do reserve the right to have some small group in-person instruction as needed and or required. And so we're constantly looking at our population of students and trying to determine that we do have certain populations of students that we may want to bring back, but right now we are currently in red. As we transition to orange, orange signifies that all safety first in-person students will attend school on an alternating day schedule with remote learning on Wednesdays so campuses can be deep cleansed. So what we're planning on our orange model is we're going to have some daily small group in-person for secondary, and we're going to use more of a hybrid model to really bring people back in a safer manner before bringing all kids back. And so an example of this is for the most part, kids are going to be placed in an A group or a B group. And so students with the last name starting L through Z will be in group A, and A through K will be in group A, and L through Z will be in group B. So you can see here, like on a Monday through Friday, how the schedule will be developed. And I think it's important to understand that this is for parents who have chosen for their kids to participate in in-person learning. So for that 34% of our parents who have chosen in-person, when we move to orange, we will be dividing up the number of kids in the classroom in the building by last name. And that really provides us a 50-50 split of that 34%, greatly reducing the number of students that are in a classroom or in a building on any particular day. And what that really does is it really helps us to be able to minimize risk, but then also it helps us get ready for the Monday through Friday schedule in the other two colors. So as we look at yellow, all safety first in-person students will attend school daily, but with strict social distancing protocols in place. Again, this is taking a step from the orange to the yellow, welcoming more kids back on campus. And of course, for all of our in-person families, our goal is to get to the green when all safety first in-person students will attend school on a daily basis. But once again, really focusing on the social distancing protocols that's in place. And so now that you understand a little bit about how we'll make those decisions, as we look at the protocols, it's important to understand that all of our classrooms will be sanitized daily. All of our custodians will be wearing masks. Masks will be required for all staff and all students as developmentally appropriate. And staff will have access to all the disinfectant wipes and sanitizing equipment that they need after the use. In terms of how our classroom configurations, we will be practicing social distancing. We will be using plexiglass dividers on desks and on tables as needed based upon the needs of our buildings. But then also, you know, in many elementary schools, we do shared supplies. We will not be practicing shared supplies, wanting to make sure that student supplies are being kept in separate places for each individual student. As the other districts have indicated, we've purchased electrostatic guns that will be used on our buses. We'll be disinfecting high touch surface areas between our routes. We did augment the times of our schools to ensure that in between every route, there was an hour period of time so all of the bus protocols can be implemented. Once again, signage will be placed on all of our buses. We will be providing a mask for all the students as they enter the bus, as well as hand sanitizer. It's important for our families to understand that buses will not refuse transportation in the mornings, and students will not be left at any stops. If a student appears symptomatic, we do have protocols that we have in place in our district once the bus arrives at school to separate the student until we can contact a parent for a parent pickup. And so once again, there's been several protocols that we put in place to ensure the safety of all of our staff. We're excited about being able to open school on Monday in a very safe environment. But once again, it's important to understand that, you know, in spring, our last core value says that we win as a team. And I would like to echo that sentiment with all of our community members here in the chamber, is working together It's going to take a village, and it's going to take a village of all of our communities and our zip codes working together. And I couldn't imagine a group of people that I would like to do this more than the Houston Northwest Chamber and all of our community members and the two superintendents that are here on the call with us this morning. So once again, thank you all so much.
Thank you, Dr. Watson. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, LaTanya. I don't know how you all did it, but you've moved mountains, and I'm genuinely impressed with what you've been able to pull off between March and now. We're going to move into our Q&A section, and I'll start with a few questions that have been submitted. The first one, there's, and this you can all have opportunity to answer. I'm going to direct it to Dr. Goffney because she brought it up first. Because of the digital divide, many families don't know how to navigate the internet, Zoom, etc. Are there any resources that will be available for ESL families who are not internet or computer savvy?
Great question. Thank you all for asking it because it's been top of mind for us this entire summer. We've rolled out our Family Community Engagement Office, and our Executive Director is Dr. Escalante. And this summer, once we had stood up at home learning, we recognized that there was a divide as far as not only digitally, but how our parents could support our students. And so we began having parent trainings, and very proud. We do those both in Spanish and in English. Beginning the first week of school on Thursday, every single Thursday, we're going to have a learning session for our parents, and that information is coming out. In addition, we have videos online to walk our parents through how to access some of the things that are like our at-home learning site, as well as our information on how to access Schoology. And we have some video footage, but we're going to be providing training weekly for all of our parents. And so we'll have Spanish sessions, we'll have English sessions, we'll have whatever sessions we need to meet the needs of our parents. So we're very proud to partner with our parents in that way.
And I'll add to that. I wanted to just share that I'm so proud. There's over 1,200 districts in the state of Texas, and Klein ISD is one of 3 model family engagement districts recognized by the Texas Education Agency. And I can say that they have certainly demonstrated their continued excellence throughout the response to the pandemic. They have been hosting courses in Schoology for our families from the very beginning. Klein ISD implemented Schoology about 4 years ago, and that's something that's now the baseline standard for the state of Texas as we move into this COVID-19 response. So grateful for the way that they've been equipping all summer long our families. We provide all of our trainings in English, Spanish, and Vietnamese, as well as we also have videos and supports. But we've really committed to having investments not only at the district level, but also campus level staff, our parent liaisons who work regularly to build positive relationships with all of our families in the community, and who are many times the frontline support to our families, whether they have needs that are related to academics, whether their needs are related to physical or socio-emotional needs of their children, or even the other folks in their families. These brave servant leaders are the ones that help to make those connections. And so as we move forward into the school year, we're very excited with the additional time that's been provided by the leadership of our Board of Trustees. We're using that time to make sure that our families are very well equipped. We'll be running, as I said before, dry runs of the online experience as well as the on-campus experience. And we know that that's going to help all of our families feel very equipped and confident in supporting the learning of their children this school year.
I would say absolutely yes. We have been running workshops for our families in multiple languages over the past few weeks. I'm really helping our parents understand how to use the device, but then also how to navigate Schoology. And so it's really helping them understand Schoology, but then also helping them navigate through the curriculum so they're well versed. One of the things that we were most proud of during the spring semester was the participation in the learning from our families. We had excellent participation from our families in terms of really helping their children navigate the process as well as through assignment submission. And so we've continued that. Our parents really love getting the face-to-face support from our teachers, in addition to our schedules. Our schedules that we'll be implementing on Monday provides an hour, about 45 minutes to an hour every day for our parents to really check in with the teachers during their office hours to really make sure that we're having reciprocal communication that's going back and forth. In addition to that, that we're really wanting to make sure that our families understand all of the social and emotional supports. That's one of the big things that we noticed during the spring semester, that as parents are interacting with the assignments and helping their kids, even though we're taking a much greater stance in terms of the types of supports we're providing, we noticed that there's a lot of emotional and supports that our families have needed. And so a couple of years ago, our board took the lead and invested in a director of mental health that is different than the traditional guidance and counseling staff in the district. So we have a individual or a group, actually a team, that really focuses on the mental health needs of our students and their families. And so they are also setting up and providing opportunities for resources, groups, and other supports for our families to make sure that they're doing well mentally as they support their kids and through the process as well.
Thank you. Here's a question that got asked 3 times. This is for Dr. McGowan. Can you share with us what percentage of parents wanted their kids to go back to school versus online versus no response?
Yes, so I was very interested to see the results from my colleagues, because ours and Klein ISD are significantly different. The majority of our families have selected Klein Online, but it's basically about 50-50. Of course, we're still following up every single day with our families that we have not heard from, and that's about 6,000 families that we're still following up with to make sure that we are clear on what option they've selected for their children. So we are much more, I guess, split down the middle in terms of what families are choosing for their learners this year. But again, we're just glad that they have that choice, as they've been able to learn more about both of our options, which makes most sense for the needs of their children, again, both academically, but also for their family as well.
Wonderful, thank you. Here is a question from Dr. Aldine at Lone Star College. Lone Star College is proud to be the partner with all 3 ISDs. Can they mention the dual credits is still an excellent option for the community we all serve and the transfer students?
I want to say absolutely, and yes, Dr. Aldine, it's great that you brought that up. Dual credit is an excellent opportunity. We do offer dual credit classes for all of our students, and our district covers all the costs for all of our students and all of their materials. For that, that's part of our equity process that our board is focused on, to ensure that all kids have access to the highest quality of learning that they can participate in.
I also want to thank Dr. Aldine. He's such a wonderful partner for us in Klein ISD, and we're so grateful for not only the incredible array of dual credit learning opportunities that we are able to provide for our students in Klein ISD because of this partnership, but also the innovative pathways, the advanced pathways we've been able to provide for our students in partnership with Lone Star College. Our community is grateful for the work of our advanced academics team. We actually, again, just found out that our leader for our advanced academics team is Kathleen Plott, has just been recognized at the national level for what she does for advanced academics in the district. And a huge part of that is the provision of these dual credit opportunities for our students. And we know our families appreciate it. For every course that a student takes in dual credit while they're here with us prior to graduating from Klein ISD, they save their families or whoever's footing the bill for the next step in their education, almost $1,000 a course. So that's money right back into the pockets of someone somewhere that's providing a whole bunch of great opportunities for the folks that are going to be either returning back to the Houston Northwest area or going out across the world to make a difference.
And I'm so glad he gave us an opportunity to address that, because I think in the midst of COVID, during the normal state of the district, we would be bragging about all these different things, including Aldine's audacious goal of college for all. Not only on our early college high school campuses, and of course Nimitz High School has always had a strong partnership, and many of our students graduate with both college degree and before they get their diplomas, but we are extending that to all of our high schools, and so we're really excited about what that means. Like Spring, we provide most of the support, and we're looking forward to, we didn't stop. We didn't say, okay, we're going to put this initiative on hold. We're actually building on it. And so we're very excited about what it's going to mean for our families.
Wonderful. This is a question I'm going to direct all three of you, excuse me. If a student or staff is found to have COVID once in-person school starts, what is the protocol on the campus, including communication to parents? Will on-site testing be provided for staff? Dr. Goffney, why don't you start?
Well, first thing is going to be containment. We're going to make sure that we are able to address the individual needs of that particular individual. In addition, we're going to do the contact tracing and go through a process. All of our nurses have gone through training in addition to other staff members. And so we're going to work fervently to make sure that we're able to trace every single individual who may have been in contact. And then, of course, communication is vital. As we think about communication, it's always important. We have laws that we have to be in compliance with. So, of course, we wouldn't be sharing names, but we're going to definitely, I think, a part of eliminating and stopping the community spread are those three things. Number one, containment, contact tracing, and communication. So we're going to make sure and follow all three of those protocols.
Same in Klein ISD. Thankfully, this is an area where the Texas Education Agency has given us very good guidance and protocols for how this is to be handled. I do want to celebrate that our school nurses actually today, we're all training together. They are setting up a really thoughtfully organized call center that will help us with contact tracing and appropriate notification when we do need to let families know that their child could have been exposed to somebody with COVID-19. And so again, all the same strategies that Dr. Goffney mentioned, but we want to, of course, protect the privacy as we are legally obligated to do so, but certainly we want to make sure that our families are well informed about the conditions in their children's classrooms and their school.
Yeah, I would definitely say ditto as well. TA has provided some excellent guidance. We have 4 specific steps that our staff will go through here. And I think it's important, with so much information on social media, on the internet, on the news, I think everyone feels that they are an expert. But I think it's important to really understand the definition of people being positive. And I think, for us, it was important for us to make sure that our staff and our families understood how we defined the process, but also define that you've been placed in an environment or someplace where someone is positive. And so for us, it's really working with our staff to help them understand that it's important to let their supervisor know or let their department head know, and then working together with them and then other health professionals that we would make the decisions as to what part of the process that they would participate in. There's a variety, there's the Harris County Sheriff's Department and Harris County are providing free places for parents to take their kids or for community members to get free testing. So no, we're not offering testing in our district in particular throughout the year. We currently have a free site right now at one of our middle schools that free site moves around to different places in the community. But it's important for them to understand that, through our insurance, all staff members on our insurance have access for testing, and it's free for their first test. But there are a variety of places that we've made connections with that will be able to assist them through supports through the mayor's office or our county where they could get free testing as well. But as both of them said, it's important for them to understand the process to let people know, but then also the process to help them get peace about their exposure as well. And we will be notifying families when there are positive cases on campuses or in departments. Again, we will not be sharing the confidential information regarding the name of the student, but we want that to be transparent for our community so they understand that we're taking it seriously.
Thank you. Thank you. Next question. What is the protocol on buses with regards to picking up students? Will there be another adult on each bus to ensure social distancing?
So I'll start off, yes. So I shared a little bit about our protocols on buses. We will have another individual, an aide on the bus to help with that as well. As you saw in our model, when we're orange, we're going to be implementing that hybrid model, which will also be hybrid on the bus, where students will not be sitting in the same seats with each other. Just this past Thursday, we were able to share with our board our video. We made a video with all of our protocols in it, which really gives parents a more hands-on approach to really be able to look at how we're implementing those. And so it does actually show that there's actually 3 videos, one for elementary, one for middle, one for high school. And it shows kids inside the building, in the cafeteria, how they're situated, on the buses, how they're situated, how they're getting on the bus, using the sanitizer. So parents, a lot of parents want to come to school on the first day. Even though we're going to be virtual, once we are ready to start, parents are going to want to come to see it for themselves. And so what we've done is we've developed videos and we've placed them on the websites of all of our buildings so parents can get on and have a little bit more peace of mind as to their kids getting on buses and interacting with staff and the large open spaces within our schools.
Mm-hmm. And similar to Dr. Watson, we're providing illustrations and we'll have some videos, but more importantly, we will practice social distancing on the bus, especially during the red, what I call code red, which is phase 1 for Aldine. And as we move forward, it's going to be important. You know, we may have families that sit together in one seat, but for the most part, it's going to be strictly enforced for our physical distancing. So, and that starts from the minute you get on the bus, the universal masking, hopefully hand hygiene would have been practiced before you got on the bus, and of course the social distancing. So the minute you step on our bus, those protocols go into place immediately.
And similarly, again, we are all thankful for the guidance that we are receiving from the agency and others that help us with all of this. But when Klein ISD students get on the bus, they will immediately be required to sanitize their hands. Everybody will be wearing face coverings. The windows will be open for ventilation as possible. We're all going to take as many precautions as we can to try to keep our students safe and healthy, whether they're in the classroom or on the bus.
Wonderful. Next question. Will the school districts be providing either to students or teachers PPEs, or will that be coming from other resources such as the state?
The state provided us with a limited, I mean, I was actually very pleased with what they were able to provide, and we've been, but it, you know, when you have 67,000 students and 9,000 employees, it was just enough to kind of get us started. But our district, our very pleased with our board. It's a priority. And so we are providing PPE for all of our teachers. And then of course we would have one in the event that our students did not have one. We're talking about masking in general, but all the PPE is being provided by the district. However, parents and teachers, if there's a certain kind, because I know I like a certain mask. And so if you always have the flexibility to wear your favorite mask.
Yeah, it's the same here in Spring. The state has provided all the districts in the state thousands of masks and face shields and things of that nature, and sanitizer. And so we have all of that we're providing for all of our teachers. But in addition to that, we purchased our own little Spring ISD mask for all of our staff. We have 5 of them. Each staff member will at least get 5. They're washable, so they can continue to use them. We are allowing kids to wear their own mask as long as they're free from any political slogans or any inappropriate things that they should not be wearing to school. I think you can imagine, as we were just going through this past week looking at our student code of conduct, we've had to update that conduct to really focus on at home types of things, but then also based upon our current environment. But yes, our teachers do not have to go out and purchase sanitizer, wipes, Lysol, things of that nature. We have all of that for them.
And in Klein ISD also the same, and I just I'm truly grateful to the state for their provision. I'm also incredibly grateful to our Board of Trustees for the way that they've prioritized making sure that our staff has what they need to feel safe while working in this upcoming school year. And also, I always like to pause for a moment whenever we talk about PPE, just to hopefully help us all remember how different this school year is than any school year we have ever prepared for. I got an email from a teacher the other day who wrote to express gratitude to the district and to the board for the ample provision of PPE and sanitizer and wipes. And as I read that, of course, I felt grateful to be receiving such a kind email. But I also just paused for a minute, thought about the gravity of what we're asking folks to do this year. And I know that out in the community, with us all continuing to have to live through this pandemic, that patience can sometimes run thin. And I know that we can get frustrated with the changing circumstances, but I just continue to ask for people's grace, and especially towards our teachers, because what they are being asked to do this year, and a job that if you've ever even been a substitute teacher for a day, you probably have a whole new level of appreciation for what teachers do. A job that's already very challenging, a job where there's already significant shortages across the state. For them to be such heroes in getting back in their classrooms and helping to educate our children is something that we should continue to lift up our profession and extend grace for the things that they're experiencing. Because it's easy to talk about masks and hand sanitizer and Clorox wipes and everything else in the world, but then we've got to think they're real human beings who are having to deal with these kinds of challenges this year, and they need our public support and gratitude for their service to our children.
Thank you. Okay, this is our last question. After a year or so of virtual education, will virtual education or hybrid of home schooling be a larger percentage of education? What will be the long-term impacts along these lines? Dr. McGowan, why don't you start with that?
Sure. So I think that this is actually one of the great things that's coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic, is that it is providing tremendous acceleration towards leveraging the digital resources and supports that we have available to us, and making sure that our teachers are well equipped to teach in the world today and not the world of yesterday. So again, we're grateful that we've had experience in Klein ISD with Schoology. It's a wonderful learning management system that our families really and our students have really enjoyed. At the secondary level, we are implementing it for the first time at the elementary level because of this. But I think that the way that we will be shaped by being able to leverage technology, which removes the boundaries of time and space and allows learning to happen anytime, anywhere, is something that will actually be a tremendous asset to public education moving forward. And we're grateful that I know in all three of our districts, we're capitalizing on some real bright spots right now. We've got some folks that have been really reimagining learning for quite a while now, and they are really emerging as leaders during this moment, providing support to their colleagues. So yes, I think that we would be remiss if we redesigned a system that drove the system that has created some of the inequities we're now trying to solve for. So we want to make sure that as we reimagine things, we eradicate the inequities in the system, and we really leverage the tools that we have available and the training that we're able to provide our teachers to meet the needs of our students today.
Yeah, I would say absolutely. I think this is a time to really reimagine how things could happen. Based upon the foresight of our board many years ago, Spring ISD has always had a virtual school. And so we've probably had our virtual school for the past 10 years or so, where we have students that out of the country, as well as students in several states, participate in our virtual school, as well as homeschool students. And so when we were developing our model, we were able to really use the best practices of what we've seen over the past 10 years with our virtual school to really get it up and going. I think this really provided parents access to what's really happening in a school day. Again, when we stood up Schoology, we just purchased Schoology a year ago. And so last year was our first year just to really roll out our curriculum on it. Well, little did we know that we will be rolling out our curriculum on it, adding our students to it, adding our teachers to it, and our parents in a matter of a month. And so we were able to really utilize that platform. And again, it really provided opportunities for parents to see what's happening during the school day. And for us, so often we can say parents are there to support their parents, what parents will do or what parents won't do. During this spring semester, our parents brought it. We had excellent participation. In terms of uploading assignments. In our high schools, we were over 87% lesson submission on Schoology. At our elementary schools, it was just phenomenal to see students who might have had a label of special education upload their assignments on Schoology, and you saw them submit their assignments through video and saw the pride on their face, the projects that students were able to do. And so I think this really provides opportunity for us to look at learning differently, but it also provides that parents the access so they understand what's happening versus just looking at what we give them during normal conference times with staff. As I've shared to all of our teachers who have just been phenomenal about jumping into the learning management process, it's been really interesting watching parents sit and watch the lessons through the virtual learning as well. So parents are that much more engaged. And so we want them to stay engaged. And so we'll continue to develop opportunities through our family community engagement department to keep them engaged.
The irony, last year at this time, we had just completed my first year looking, listening, and learning, and we just launched during convocation our A New Way Forward. That was the name of our strategic plan. And so as I think about, halfway in or a little bit over halfway in March and what happened and how our teachers were able to respond immediately and actually address an issue that has been plaguing many districts for many years, I'm totally encouraged and excited about the future. I know it's bad, it's really bad, and I'm a people person, so it's really hard to not be together right now and sharing the stage and hugging on different people, meeting different people and all that, so that's hard. But the beauty of this is in the question that you ask about how we're going to move forward. Our colleague, Dr. Watson, referred to our education system as an 18th century model, and we recognize that 18th century model didn't work for everybody. And so when people say, oh, we're going to go back to, the the old normal. No, we're moving forward, because I'm telling you, as my colleagues have already alluded to, it's a good time for education. Our teachers were able to meet the needs of our students in a different way. And you talk about anywhere, everywhere learning, just amazing what we were able to do even this summer. We were going to have a summer school camps, and that's what we've had since last year. Our teachers were able to do them online. And when I tell you, when you went on and you saw the level of engagement, it was inspiring for me, because it gave me hope, knowing that in the fall, we were going to have to do more of that. And when Dr. Watson talked about the partnership with our parents, it's more than muffins with moms. It's more than donuts with dads. It has been true partnership. I've heard from special ed parents and talking to our special ed teachers and our resource teachers and all of them about how they have been able to coach their parents through different situations and help their parents to meet the needs of their students. It's just been amazing. And so I echo on this last question about the fact that as we think about our new way forward, as we think about this, this experience, that we continue to embrace our educators, because I'm telling you, what when we look back a year or two from now, what happened in the schools is what's going to help change what's going to happen in the future. All of the different issues that everyone's focusing on, the only thing that matters for us in Aldine is that August 17th, the learning is going to take place. And I have full confidence of it, because number one, we have a board who is very supportive. We have teachers who are doing amazing work, and we have leaders who are continuing to think about how do we work around these different problems and see them as solutions. So thank you all for this opportunity to share a little bit about what's happening in our Return to Learn plan for Aldine ISD.
Thank you, all three of you. This was fantastic. I want to thank you for taking the time to share your updates with us and information, all the hard work you guys have putting into this transformation. That was a great question to finish on, because, you know, we vacillate, all of us vacillate back and forth between the dire situation, but then we rebound with the innovation and creativity that can and is coming out of this. And so I believe, like all of you, that this is good. We're going to all be better for this when this is done, and our students will have a better learning experiences, greater family engagement, as Dr. Watson said. So, so that's just wonderful. My message to our guests today, and for particularly those of you who have students in the school district, as you understand that we, in our personal lives, in our jobs, in our businesses, are having to adapt and adjust on a daily basis. So please take empathy for our school districts and our teachers and our administrators who are having to pivot daily to a moving situation. And as we get into this experiment, please be patient, please be understanding. And I would hope that all the support we showed publicly to our healthcare providers, that we'll do that for our educators this fall. So with that, I want to thank you all, and you have a great day, have a great school year.